Well, good morning, chemistry students. May 18th, 2020. Now, I know that for some of you, time has been dragging, but for me, time has just been flying, and I can't believe it. This is our last week with seniors. I know it's not quite the same thing when we're not here together, but, you know, Josh, I'm looking right at you here in the front row. I want you to know, take this seriously. You are welcome to join us for some class next week if you want to just say, hey, I want to learn some things for free while I can. Peter, I know that you've already had a lot of this chemistry. This is review for you, but you're welcome to hang around. Okay? The rest of you, I get to see you for, well, see you. Yeah, I'm imagining you sitting here right now, but I get to see you for another week and a half yet. Well, this week, it's almost 2.5 weeks. So, we can do some chemistry, all right? So, this week, in case you didn't get from all the other notes, we're going to be doing two things at the same time. We're going to be looking at Chapter 9 and Chapter 10. So, Chapter 9, the portion that we do of it, and we're really not referring to the book at all with it, I'll be giving you things. We're going to learn how to write formulas for compounds and name some simple compounds. Okay? Chapter 10 is about doing some calculations involving those formulas. And so we're going to kind of do those more or less together. There are some real basics here that I'm trying to get out before Josh is gone. So I might be taking things a little bit out of the order that I normally would do it. Some things may get compressed a little bit, but we'll try to give as much, give you the practice time that you need to try to get a hold of this. The language of chemistry, if we learn the language, it makes a lot of those other things easier. So I'm still having a real struggle in my heart about what to do about the ions, quizzes, and things like that, because I'm just not quite sure how to fit everything together that I need to get done in these last few days. Please, study your ions. If you know the language of chemistry, everything else becomes easier, and many of you, most of you, possibly all of you, will be doing more chemistry as you go on to further schooling. Chemistry is a very central science. So, what are we going to do here today? I had other videos on the naming and formula writing. We're going to go through one really simple calculation today, and that is how to calculate a formula mass. Now, we'll see that that's also called a molar mass. Come back to that later. Kind of synonymous. They have slightly different meaning, but they're calculated the same way. So, here's a set of steps. Count and list the atoms of each element. Look up and list the atomic masses of each element. Multiply each number of atoms by the appropriate atomic mass. So you're going to basically take your numbers from number 1 and multiply by number 2. And then add them up. It's really a simple concept. If I have, what's an object? Let's say I have a robot. And I got 2 robot legs and 2 robot arms and a robot head and a robot torso. And if I add up the mass of all those, 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 torso, 1 head, I get the mass of my robot. That's what we're doing for our formula. Here's a sample. Let's find the formula mass of water. Count and list the atoms of each element. So I look at that and say, well, there's 2 hydrogens, so the numbers that are subscripted refer to the element in front of them. So there's 2 hydrogen, there's no subscript here, so that means 1 oxygen. And I just list them. 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. All right, now look up the atomic masses. Where do you find that? Well, you find that on a periodic table. And I realize I did not leave myself a periodic table right here. But you have a periodic table to use. I hope you have it handy. Look up the masses. So if we look up hydrogen, and by the way, without even trying to memorize some of these, it won't take long and you will know something. So hydrogen, I believe, is 1.008 and oxygen is 16.00. Hey, I'm remembering correctly. I've got a little bit of practice on these, okay? We're going to try to keep as many sig figs as possible. So now it says multiply through. See, because there's 2 hydrogens, so I need 2 times that. But there was only 1 oxygen, so I need 1 times that. So if I write that through, well, 2 hydrogen is 2.016, 1 oxygen is 16.00. Add them up. And when we add them up, we look at sig figs and say, hey, if I know this to 1,000th, but I only know this to 100th, I can only know this to 100th. Remember, the rule for addition is about the columns. So 1 molecule of water has a mass of 18.02 atomic mass units. Okay? We'll find out that that also would be 18.02 grams for a mole of water. Keep that in mind for later. Okay, hey, let's find the formula mass of lead 2 nitrate. And you should be trying to practice. You're going to be going through your formulas and naming. And so once you've practiced that some, you should practice whenever you see things. You know, don't just read off, this is the way we write the formula. But when we read it, we say, hey, that's lead 2 nitrate. We know that nitrate, NO3, is a -1. This says there's 2 of those, so that's a total of -2. So that must be a lead 2. It's not a lead 4. It's a lead 2 nitrate. Let's list all the elements. Well, there's 1 lead. This nitrate is in parentheses. So there's 1 nitrogen in the parentheses, but then that means there's 2 of that group, so there's 2 nitrogen overall. There's 3 oxygen in parentheses, but there's 2 of that group, so that would be 6 oxygen overall. We look up our masses from a periodic table. 1 times that, 2 times that, 6 times that. We'll get our subtotals over here, and then we add them up. Sig figs. Remember, with addition, we can actually get more sig figs on our answer than some of our terms, because what matters is what column the last digit is in. So I came up with 331.22 atomic mass units. So that's it. That's a really simple calculation, but guess what? If you don't have the correct formula, you won't get the correct formula mass. So we got to be doing what's in the other part too. All right. As always, you got questions, keep me posted.